The courtroom echoed with the sharp crack of the gavel, and silence spread like a wave of fear. The guarded survivor said this was never supposed to happen. Their voice trembled, carrying guilt that clung like a shadow. The judge's stern gaze bore down, his words final and cold. The warm comforter whispered, "You must hold steady, it's not over yet." Their hand touched gently, yet the comfort felt heavy, weighted with unspoken promises. The reluctant Firestarter said, "You don't know the half of it," their tone dripping with defiance. Their eyes darted around, restless, unwilling to trust. Outside, a storm raged, lightning crashing as though the sky itself demanded justice. The steady anchor said, "Calm will see us through," but the certainty in their words felt brittle. The velvet blade sat with an unreadable face, each blink calculated, each breath measured. The guarded survivor clutched their coat, a letter pressing against their chest, never opened, yet burning with secrets. The warm comforter said, "We must stand together." Yet a shadow passed their eyes, betraying their warmth. In the corner, a picture of the lingering memory stared from a file, a frozen smile of innocence, forever haunting the present. The gavel struck again, louder, sharper, as if sealing fate in stone. The storm outside deepened, rain battering windows like relentless fists. The guarded survivor said, "Each word feels like a sentence against me." Their voice cracked. The warm comforter replied, "You are not alone, we will carry this together." The reluctant Firestarter muttered, "Truth isn't what they want, it's what they can use." The steady anchor said, "The trial will stand on what's proven, not whispered." The velvet blade remained silent, a ghost of a smile, hinting that silence carried more power than words. A shadow flickered in the corner, as if the lingering memory passed unseen. The gavel's echo still rang like thunder in the survivor's chest, every sound magnified by dread. The guarded survivor said, "My silence is their weapon." They gripped the letter in their pocket like it could anchor them. The warm comforter replied, "Silence can also be survival." The reluctant Firestarter said, "Or it can kill you faster." The steady anchor added, "Strength comes from standing still in the storm." The velvet blade finally spoke, "The storm only matters if you're not the one controlling the rain." The lingering memory's face flashed in thought, a smile frozen in innocence, haunting the survivor's memory like a ghost, refusing release. Lightning crackled again. The guarded survivor whispered, "I can't escape what I've hidden." The warm comforter's smile softened, then let it burn into light. The reluctant Firestarter said, "They'll tear you apart for it." The steady anchor said, "We all carry truths too heavy to speak." The velvet blade leaned forward and said, "What is hidden only matters when it is found." A gust rattled the windows, as if the lingering memory's laughter whispered through the storm, leaving hearts colder in its wake. The guarded survivor said, "I hear her voice even now." Their eyes flicked to the photo of the lingering memory. The warm comforter said, "Ghosts only live where guilt keeps them." The reluctant Firestarter said, "Or where truth was buried alive." The steady anchor said, "Do not falter now." The velvet blade finally said, "The past is not dead, it waits." The thunder roared, shaking the chamber, as if time itself rebelled against silence. The survivor's pulse beat faster, each thud like the hammer of judgment. The storm eased, but its echo lingered inside the courtroom walls. The guarded survivor said, "I feel the weight of every eye pressing into me." Her hands trembled. The warm comforter said, "Breathe. Let them see courage, not fear." His voice rapped softly, hiding the sharp edges beneath. The reluctant Firestarter leaned forward, restless, and said, "Courage won't save you if the truth eats its way out." The steady anchor said, "Strength lies in steadiness, not outbursts." His jaw clenched as he forced composure. The velvet blade said, "All eyes see what I choose them to see." His words slid like a dagger in velvet. A faint image of the lingering memory stared from a forgotten file, her youthful smile blurring into ghostly stillness. The guarded survivor lowered her gaze, whispering, Her face follows me everywhere. The storm whispered back, rattling glass faintly as though agreeing. The warm comforter's hand lingered too long, comfort turning into possession. The reluctant Firestarter muttered, "Chains come disguised as helping hands." The gavel struck once more, pulling them back to the suffocating present. The guarded survivor said, "Her absence is louder than my heartbeat." She held the letter tighter. The warm comforter said, "Absence is only silence until you give it voice." His words soothed yet twisted. The reluctant Firestarter said, "You think silence saves you, but it only buries you deeper." His tone sharp, eyes burning with impatience. The steady anchor said, "We endure by holding ground, not by trembling." His voice steady but heavy. The velvet blade whispered, "A trembling voice draws more ears than a steady one." His calm menace spread like smoke. The guarded survivor closed her eyes, imagining the lingering memories, laughter carried by rain outside. The warm comforter brushed her sleeve, said, "You carry ghosts because you refuse to set them down." The reluctant Firestarter said, "Maybe ghosts carry her instead." Thunder groaned, faint light flashing, revealing the survivor's hollow fear. The courtroom air thickened, filled with unspoken truths pressing against every heart. The guarded survivor said, "I kept her picture hidden, but it always finds me." She breathed unevenly. The warm comforter said, "Memory becomes a compass, not a curse." His hand still anchored her. The reluctant Firestarter spat, or a noose when tied too tight. His anger broke like glass. The steady anchor said, "Focus on now. The past is dust." His tone bore authority, yet regret flickered behind it. The velvet blade said, "Dust only matters when it settles on evidence." His eyes gleamed with intent. The guarded survivor whispered, "She wanted me to read it, but I couldn't." She clutched her chest. The warm comforter said, "Unread words are often safest." His tone twisted with hidden weight. The reluctant Firestarter growled, "Safe for who?" A storm growl matched his defiance. The courtroom's air grew heavy, silence thick, and the shadows leaned in closer. The guarded survivor said, "I walk into rooms and map every exit, but I can't find one out of this." Her voice trembled. The warm comforter replied, "There is no exit when you are meant to stand." His touch was steady. The reluctant Firestarter said, "Stand still and you'll be buried alive." His tone sharp. The steady anchor said, "Burial or survival depends on resolve." His voice low and grave. The velvet blade said, "Resolve is only admired by those who win." His words cut clean. The guarded survivor said, "She would have known what to do." She thought of the lingering memory, frozen at 17. The warm comforter said, "She is your strength even now." The reluctant Firestarter muttered, "Or your chain dragging you under." Thunder cracked overhead, shadows trembling across walls. The guarded survivor felt the weight of silence, pressed into corners no words could reach. The guarded survivor said, "Every year I return to the place where she vanished." Her voice was heavy. The warm comforter said, "Returning means she never leaves you." His voice soft. The reluctant Firestarter said, "Returning means you never escape." His eyes sharp. The steady anchor said, "Some wounds never close, but you learn to walk despite them." His voice weary. The velvet blade said, "Or you use wounds to make others bleed." His calm menace spread cold. The guarded survivor whispered, "Her laughter is louder in silence than sound." She pressed her eyes shut. The warm comforter said, "Let it guide you, not haunt you." The reluctant Firestarter snarled, "Haunting is truth refusing burial." The storm groaned, like time itself bending under grief. Silence pressed against them, a silence alive, waiting for truth to break its prison. The guarded survivor said, "Every word spoken here cuts deeper than silence ever did." She clutched her coat tighter, the unopened letter burning against her chest. The warm comforter said, "Pain sharpens, but it can also bind us." His words felt like honey masking steel. The reluctant Firestarter said, "Binding is just another kind of cage." His voice cracked with frustration. The steady anchor said, "Cages are safer than storms when you cannot fight the wind." His gaze dropped, betraying old guilt. The velvet blade said, "Storms are only dangerous if you believe you can survive them." His calm tone struck like ice. The guarded survivor whispered, "I hear her laughter, louder than the gavel, louder than the storm." The lingering memory seemed to haunt the silence, her photo glowing faintly under dim light. The warm comforter said, "Let the memory keep you steady, not break you." The reluctant Firestarter said, "Steady won't matter if truth is buried under lies." The gavel struck again, as thunder shook the windows, shadows lengthening like claws across the room. The guarded survivor said, "Every glance feels like an accusation." She tried to breathe but found no air. The warm comforter said, "They see what I let them see, nothing more." His calm turned calculating. The reluctant Firestarter snapped, "You twist comfort into chains." His sharp glare pierced across the room. The steady anchor said, "Chains hold people steady when they would fall apart." His tone was heavy. The velvet blade said, "Chains are useful when guiding a crowd." His smile was cold precision. The guarded survivor whispered, "I never wanted chains, only escape." Her trembling words fell like broken glass. The lingering memory's face glowed in her mind, a ghost framed in warmth forever lost. Thunder rolled above, lights flickered in the chamber, and silence carried the weight of invisible battles. The guarded survivor said, "She told me once to keep secrets buried, but I never understood why." Her eyes filled with tears she would not let fall. The warm comforter said, "Secrets are safer beneath silence." His voice lowered. The reluctant Firestarter said, "Secrets rot, and the stench always rises." His words, sharp as knives. The steady anchor said, "Rot builds roots, it grows stronger underground." He sighed heavily. The velvet blade said, "Roots can strangle more surely than ropes." His calm carried menace. The guarded survivor whispered, "I dream of her voice calling me to speak." The lingering memory lingered, ghostly smile blurring into stormlight. The warm comforter said, "Dreams only matter if you wake to them." The reluctant Firestarter said, "Or nightmares when they refuse to die." The gavel struck, heavy, echoing louder than thunder, sealing every silence with judgment. The guarded survivor said, "Truth feels like a knife waiting to cut me open." She clutched her coat tightly. The warm comforter said, "Truth is only a knife if you let it pierce you." His words coiled, gentle but sharp. The reluctant Firestarter said, "Knives cut whether you allow it or not." His tone raw. The steady anchor said, "Knives can also carve paths through stone." He kept his gaze steady. The velvet blade said, "Or carve masks, hiding faces that dare not be seen." His cold gaze never wavered. The guarded survivor whispered, "Her mask was laughter, and I still hear it." The lingering memory's ghost hovered in her eyes, eternal and unreachable. Thunder split the sky, shaking glass. The warm comforter touched her hand again, lingering too long. The reluctant Firestarter spat, hands that comfort often steal. Silence clung like iron, heavy and suffocating. The guarded survivor said, "Every piece of evidence feels like a stone placed on my chest." She could barely breathe. The warm comforter said, "Then let me carry it with you." His voice a whisper of false shelter. The reluctant Firestarter said, "Carriers sometimes drop what they pretend to hold." His defiance cut hard. The steady anchor said, "Burden carried together is less crushing." His words felt tired. The velvet blade said, "Or heavier, when betrayal waits beneath it." His smile never shifted. The guarded survivor whispered, "She trusted me, and now her trust condemns me." The lingering memory's face haunted every pause, frozen innocence piercing like glass. Thunder roared, rattling the room, as if justice itself stirred in anger. The courtroom fell silent, yet every silence screamed louder than truth itself. The guarded survivor said, "I thought silence would protect me, but silence has turned into a prison. Her voice cracked under the weight of secrets. Oh, the warm comforter said, prisons can keep out harm, even if they also keep you locked in. His words came smooth, but eyes flickered with something darker. The reluctant Firestarter said, secrets don't vanish, they come back sharper. His glare cut through the haze of half-truths. The steady anchor said, secrets buried too deep eventually split the ground beneath us. He sounded torn between loyalty and dread. The velvet blade finally leaned forward and said, the truth isn't lost, it's simply waiting to be claimed. His calm tone chilled every corner of the courtroom. The guarded survivor lowered her head, whispering, she knew what I hid. The lingering memories photograph caught a glint of stormlight, her frozen smile alive with unspoken accusation. Thunder rattled the walls as if justice itself stirred, hungry for confession. The guarded survivor said she disappeared because of me. Her words tore into silence, brittle as glass. The warm comforter said, blame never heals, it only deepens wounds. His hand lingered too close, comforting yet restraining. The reluctant Firestarter said, you admit it then? You hid what mattered. His voice rose, young and raw. The steady anchor said, confession may destroy you, but it may also free you. His voice cracked, his calm faltering. The velvet blade said, freedom is just another illusion, but power comes from controlling the story. His smirk curved slowly. The guarded survivor whispered, her blood is on my hands. The lingering memories photo seemed to glow brighter, mocking the silence. Rain hammered the windows, lightning slicing the chamber, revealing truths no one wanted spoken. The gavel fell hard, but it could not silence the echoes of guilt. The guarded survivor said, I kept the letter sealed because it carried her truth, a truth too heavy to bear. Her voice shook. The warm comforter said, truth unread cannot wound you. His words offered shelter, but twisted with control. The reluctant Firestarter shouted, truth unread poisons everything. His fists clenched in rage. The steady anchor said, you chose silence when the world needed voice. His voice trembled with disappointment. The velvet blade said, voice or silence, the story is mine to bend. His composure was chilling. The guarded survivor whispered, her last words could break me. The lingering memory lingered in the photograph, her youthful smile burning brighter under stormlight. Thunder struck, drowning out breath itself. The courtroom trembled, as if time itself cracked open, forcing truth into light. The guarded survivor said, the trial is not about him, it's about me, my lies, my silence. Her voice cracked, each word a wound. The warm comforter said, your silence was survival, nothing more. His tone soothing, but sharp underneath. The reluctant Firestarter said, survival for you, but death for her. His young anger burned. The steady anchor said, we all chose silence once, thinking it noble. His jaw tightened. The velvet blade said, silence is never noble, it is useful. His gaze sliced the air. The guarded survivor whispered, she trusted me, and I betrayed that trust. The lingering memory's ghostly smile glimmered on the file, eternal, piercing. Lightning shattered the window's reflection, throwing jagged light across the survivor's face. The courtroom seemed to shrink, suffocating beneath the weight of revelation. The guarded survivor said, her death was not an accident, it was because of me. Her words thundered louder than the storm. The warm comforter said, you must not drown in guilt, for guilt blinds. His tone soft but binding. The reluctant Firestarter said, no more lies, you finally said it. His voice cracked with rage and relief. The steady anchor said, the truth once spoken cannot be undone. His tone was steady but broken. The velvet blade said, and truth once exposed is a weapon only the clever can wield. His smirk widened coldly. The guarded survivor collapsed into her chair, whispering, her voice never left me, it dragged me here. The lingering memory's smile on the photo blazed like fire, a haunting presence made flesh through confession. Thunder cracked, windows shivered, as silence drowned the chamber. The guarded survivor said, every lie I told has led to this moment. Her voice trembled like a broken string. The warm comforter said, lies were shields, not blades. His calm tone carried danger hidden beneath. The reluctant Firestarter said, shields cut too when they're turned. His words snapped like glass. The steady anchor said, we all betrayed something for what we thought was right. His tone dripped with sorrow. The velvet blade said, right and wrong are illusions. Only control matters. His smile was colder than the storm. The guarded survivor whispered, she trusted me, and I betrayed her. The lingering memory's smile in the photograph burned brighter, as if demanding judgment. Lightning shook the chamber, thunder pressing down like a verdict from the heavens. Silence strangled the air, heavy, suffocating, and unescapable. The guarded survivor said, I am the reason she is gone. Her confession cracked like lightning. The warm comforter said, don't drown in guilt, let me carry it. His hand pressed firm, not kind. The reluctant Firestarter shouted, you carried nothing, you watched while she vanished. His anger raw. The steady anchor said, blame devours all who feed it. His voice wavered. The velvet blade said, blame can also be sharpened into power. His calm cut like steel. The guarded survivor whispered, I hear her voice even now, calling from the dark. The lingering memory's ghostly presence seemed to flicker, her image more alive than ever. The storm outside thundered louder than gavel strikes, shaking the fragile walls of silence. The guarded survivor said, the letter holds her last words, but I was too afraid to read them. Her voice broke. The warm comforter said, unread words are safer than truths. His tone sweet but heavy. The reluctant Firestarter said, safer for you, not for her. His glare seared. The steady anchor said, we guard silence, but silence poisons us. His hands tightened on the desk. The velvet blade said, poison can kill, but it can also be distilled into power. His composure unwavering. The guarded survivor whispered, her silence is louder than my screams. The lingering memory's picture flared as lightning struck, her frozen smile cutting deeper than sound. The storm roared, rattling the chamber, as if truth itself demanded to break free. The guarded survivor said, every night I returned to where she vanished. Her voice was drenched in guilt. The warm comforter said, you return because you can't let go. His hand lingered with control disguised as care. The reluctant Firestarter said, letting go is just another lie. His tone bitter. The steady anchor said, we all hold on to ghosts, but some haunt deeper. His gaze heavy with regret. The velvet blade said, ghosts are useful, they remind us of power over memory. His voice silk but sharp. The guarded survivor whispered, she never left me, not once. The lingering memory's picture seemed alive, her faint glow brightening with each word. Thunder cracked like judgment, the storm pressing down on everyone. The guarded survivor said, her death is my crime. Her voice shattered the silence. The warm comforter said, you cannot carry this alone. His tone protective but possessive. The reluctant Firestarter said, she was betrayed, and now you admit it. His fury sharp. The steady anchor said, confession frees, but also chains. His voice weary. The velvet blade said, chains only matter to those too weak to break them. His smirk widened. The guarded survivor collapsed, whispering, her laughter never left me. The lingering memory's face burned brighter than lightning, a ghost risen from silence. Thunder boomed, windows rattled, as truth roared through the chamber, leaving no one untouched. The guarded survivor said, the truth is out, but it feels like a wound instead of healing. Her voice was weary, hollowed by confession. The warm comforter said, wounds remind us we are still alive. His words soft, but shadows of deceit lingered behind his eyes. The reluctant Firestarter said, alive, but chained to ghosts. His fists remained clenched. The steady anchor said, "Ghosts fade when you choose to face them." His voice wavered, betraying the weight of his own unspoken betrayal. The velvet blade said, "Ghosts never fade, they become instruments for those who wield memory." His calm tone sliced through the chamber. The guarded survivor whispered, "Her laughter follows me, even now." The lingering memory's photograph glowed faintly as thunder retreated. The storm began to weaken, leaving silence that felt heavier than thunder. The guarded survivor said, "Confession didn't free me, it chained me to judgment." Her voice cracked. The warm comforter said, "Chains can be shared if you let someone hold them with you." His hand lingered. The reluctant Firestarter said, "He only tightens them." His young voice defiant. The steady anchor said, "Judgment is survival in disguise, harsh but necessary." His eyes lowered. The velvet blade said, "Judgment is a theater, and I write the script." His calm menace made silence tremble. The guarded survivor whispered, "She deserved more than silence, more than this." The lingering memory's picture seemed alive, her smile glowing faint under pale sunlight. The thunder was gone now, but silence pressed like stone, heavier than storm. The guarded survivor said, "She is gone, but I feel she never left." Her voice barely a whisper. The warm comforter said, "She lives in the strength you carry now." His smile warm yet sharp. The reluctant Firestarter said, "Strength stolen from guilt isn't strength." His voice bitter. The steady anchor said, "Strength built on guilt becomes stone, unmovable but heavy." His tone cracked. The velvet blade said, "Stone can crush or build, depending on who holds it." His poise chilling. The guarded survivor whispered, "I built walls with her memory, but walls became prisons." The lingering memory's picture reflected light, her face radiant with haunting innocence. The silence grew unbearable, filled with truths no one dared to voice. The guarded survivor said, "Every choice I made was survival, but survival cost me her." Her words fell like stone. The warm comforter said, "You cannot carry her absence forever." His voice wrapped in softness. The reluctant Firestarter said, "Absence doesn't vanish, it festers." His defiance raw. The steady anchor said, "Festering wounds only heal when exposed to air." His voice heavy. The velvet blade said, "Exposure is only dangerous to the weak." His calm tone cut like a knife. The guarded survivor whispered, "She haunts me not to punish, but to remind me of what I destroyed." The lingering memory's smile shone faintly, her image burning against the silence. Outside, the rain slowed to a drizzle, leaving the chamber heavy with damp air and guilt unwashed. The guarded survivor said, "Justice was promised, but what I feel is emptiness." Her words hollow. The warm comforter said, "Emptiness is space to rebuild." His voice, soothing yet binding. The reluctant Firestarter said, "Rebuild on ruins, and they crumble again." His tone sharp. The steady anchor said, "Ruins still carry foundations." His voice weary but firm. The velvet blade said, "Foundations are only useful if you control what's built on them." His gaze cold. The guarded survivor whispered, "She was my foundation, and now I walk on cracks." The lingering memory's face glowed faintly brighter, her frozen smile pressing guilt deeper into the survivor's soul. Rain stopped. Silence settled like ash, suffocating the chamber, leaving judgment unresolved. The guarded survivor said, "I confessed, yet justice feels distant, like a horizon I cannot reach." Her words quivered. The warm comforter said, "Justice is a story told, not lived." His voice smooth but heavy with false comfort. The reluctant Firestarter said, "Stories twist, but truth doesn't vanish." His fists stayed clenched. The steady anchor said, "Truth bends when survival demands it." His eyes lowered in regret. The velvet blade said, "Truth is nothing more than a blade sharpened by power." His calm tone struck with precision. The guarded survivor whispered, her voice is still here, louder in silence than sound. The lingering memory's faint smile glowed from the photograph, haunting, eternal. The silence settled, deeper than storm, thicker than judgment. The guarded survivor said, her death was the verdict long before the trial began. Her voice cracked. The warm comforter said, verdicts are illusions that keep us steady. His smile soft but binding. The reluctant Firestarter said, illusions bring her back. His tone raw. The steady anchor said, no verdict repairs the past, it only reshapes the present. His voice heavy. The velvet blade said, the present is only valuable when you control its memory. His words struck cold. The guarded survivor whispered, I failed her, and that failure defines me. The lingering memory's face gleamed brighter, her frozen smile like a haunting final judgment. Rain outside had stopped, leaving the air sharp, clean, and unbearable. The guarded survivor said, justice feels twisted, like something stolen. Her voice faltered. The warm comforter said, twisted paths still led somewhere. His tone wrapped in false care. The reluctant Firestarter said, sometimes they lead back to graves. His voice sharp. The steady anchor said, graves are not ends, only warnings. His tone weary. The velvet blade said, warnings are tools to bend obedience. His calm words rang hollow. The guarded survivor whispered, her laughter is louder in my dreams than in life. The lingering memory seemed to shimmer in the fading light, her innocence weaponized by silence. The chamber felt colder, the shadows heavier, as though truth itself recoiled from the room. The guarded survivor said, I hear her voice in every silence, reminding me I cannot escape. Her words shook. The warm comforter said, voices fade when you let go. His tone soothing, but not honest. The reluctant Firestarter said, her voice should never fade. It's the only truth left. His glare burned. The steady anchor said, truth left unspoken rots inside us. His voice faltered. The velvet blade said, rot is a gift when you know how to use it. His calm cut, sharp. The guarded survivor whispered, she never left me, she never will. The lingering memory's faint glow brightened, her smile piercing the suffocating silence. The air carried no storm, no rain, only the weight of ghosts refusing to vanish. The guarded survivor said, her silence is my punishment, and it will never end. Her words cracked like dry earth. The warm comforter said, punishment builds strength. His smile subtle, untrustworthy. The reluctant Firestarter said, punishment destroys before it builds. His young voice fierce. The steady anchor said, we live with ruins and call them foundations. His tone weary. The velvet blade said, foundations are meaningless unless shaped by power. His cold voice final. The guarded survivor whispered, her laughter still echoes here, even as the storm is gone. The lingering memory's glow was brighter than ever, her ghostly presence sealing the chamber in eternal silence. Outside, the world moved on, but within these walls, time was frozen.